Welcome to another episode of Metaverse Studio, brought to you by Phygtl, an AR Web3 platform that lets brands create immersive experiences for their users, unlocking a new dimension. And without further ado, here comes our host, Tommaso Di Bartolo.
Phenomenal, and good morning, at least here from the Bay Area, and welcome to another episode of the Metaverse Studio. And what is it we do here? We interview brilliant minds in Web3 and the Metaverse to deconstruct what I like to call value creation in the Metaverse. And today I have an amazing panelists and guests here. I would like to kick off things with introducing Sheena Fordner. Sheena is the CEO of Carbon Market Exchange. Sheena creates innovative solutions to complex climate problems through blockchain technology. And the goal is to bring together the financial industry and climate action in a way that makes meeting international climate targets more accessible for companies and more supportive for conservationists. Thank you so much, Sheena, for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
And we have Ada Jonuse. Ada Jonuse is a serial Web3 entrepreneur, a VOW contributor, empowerment agent, and consciousness explorer after a successful exit of a gamified company, Limbo. Congratulations. Ada is taking time to regenerate and help other companies to enter and thrive the Web3 space as a senior consultant of a Web3 expert consulting and open operation company called Blockchain Center. So great to have you again on one of my podcasts, Ada. So great to see you again.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And today I have the amazing pleasure to do this with the one and only Tarja Stephens. And Tarja is the co-founder and Mission Impact, a leadership network on a mission to accelerate women's impact by utilizing business-critical Web3 training, personal growth, and impact initiatives. Tarja, how are you doing today?
Oh my gosh, very good. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. Thank you, Tommaso.
Well, the pleasure is all mine. Are you ready to kick off things, Tarja? What are we going to talk about? Do you want to share a couple of keywords here what our audience is going to explore with our panelists?
Absolutely. I cannot wait. So excited to hear from Sheena and Ada. And I think what we are going to discover is all incredible new initiatives, opportunities around the world that these emerging technologies like Metaverse is now bringing to us. So very excited to be talking with these incredible ladies.
Why don't we kick off things? One of the most recent, let's say, a big milestone for the entire industry of Web3, Metaverse, and all things protocols and blockchain was the merge of Ethereum, right, from proof of work to proof of stake. And therefore, one of the very relevant topic has been sustainability, right? Sheena, you represent a company and an initiative, right, that is focused on this, right? Why sustainability in the Metaverse? What have you learned? Why is this so fundamental? What can you share with our audience?
That's a great question, Thomas. And exactly what you were saying, with the current merge, energy consumption is a hot topic, and without energy, blockchain doesn't exist. And so it is a critical move to understand the ESG and the collaboration between blockchain technology and the metaverse, and finding renewable outlets. We've seen amazing data centers throughout the world that are running on geothermal, renewable offsets, and also, as you stated, the company that I work for, we're incorporating carbon offsets.
So, Sheena, when you say offsetting carbon offsets, right? Maybe here, I know from a perspective of you being involved in this, it's very tangible, right? But this topic is still super new, right? So the audience is struggling still with the metaverse, right? Why is this important long term, right? To offset carbon with the link to the metaverse, right? What would you here advise? What are things that you are doing in order to do so?
We're creating a digital asset, a commodity. This utility token is then correlated either to the preservation of land, the restoration of ecosystems, the regeneration of agriculture, the sustainable development of new energy sources. And So with the UN climate report that came out last month, the 1.9 degrees Celsius that we're supposed to stay within by 2030 is looking like we're going to hit that within the next 4 to 5 years. And what that means is we're hitting a breaking point of the point of no return. We're talking about 70 to 90% of the coral reefs dying if we hit these numbers. And 30% of the oxygen on the planet comes from coral reefs. So it's a significant global issue. And I think it's a perfect opportunity for the metaverse to incorporate and really come up with a decentralized solution to a global problem.
The decentralization is the DNA of at least the Web3 metaverse, right? We own data. We will be in an ideal world in the near future, be moving right with our backpack and our identity, right, from metaverse to metaverse, right? Sheena has alluded that this is always consumption of energy, right? What can you share with us here? What have you seen when it comes to energy consumption? Maybe let's lean into the Ethereum merge, right? From moving from proof of work to proof of stake.
Look, I was in Berlin at that time. I'm also in Berlin right now. I was taking part at the Berlin Blockchain Week, and historically for Ethereum, Berlin has been a very important place. It has been co-founded. Ethereum has been co-founded in Berlin, and it was huge. There were Ethereum merge parties going on. The atmosphere was very. Everyone was very excited and the atmosphere was great. So people were really celebrating that. And why at the Blockchain Center, we have worked with various clients, and it's a big concern for many. In my former company, Limpo, we have worked with athletes, world-class athletes, buying their IPs in order to release NFTs and build games around that. And we received questions about that. What chain are you using? We have moved from Ethereum to Polygon, partly also in order to satisfy these needs. In the art world, we had the project with digital art. Also, that's audience that is very concerned. Even one project of the Animoca brand's portfolio companies was to work with the International Olympic Committee. They chose to release NFTs on Flow just because the client didn't want negative media around that. So big companies, when entering in the Web3 metaverse, are really interested to know what carbon footprint this will leave, and how they can do this better and in a more efficient way. So that's one part of the story. The other part is obviously costs that are associated with that, the transaction cost. How we can operate, how we can build meaningful dApps for mass audience, decentralized apps with millions of users. And I think it's a great step forward. And also over the recent years, we saw a lot of new companies in the space, a lot of new protocols, always, launching with this promise of better, faster, more efficient chains. So I'm very happy. I was very happy to see that happen, follow that live on Twitter. And right now we kind of entered this new era, and we can now refute these claims that blockchain is actually utilizing so much energy, and it's not compatible with other sustainability goals.
That's great. Should I jump in, because I've been taking some notes here, and amazing, amazing things. And I would love to, Ara, kind of follow up and now shift it a little bit with the creator economy, because I know you work a lot of creators and decentralized, and you see incredible opportunities there. And I like when one of the interviews you mentioned the role models, like how now more women are coming in, and the importance of role models and mentorship. So what have you seen the last year evolving these new opportunities of now? Yes, we talked about the sustainability and all these important things, but also the incredible initiatives and opportunities in creator economy.
Yeah, so, one of the things why I'm mostly excited about the metaverse is not this amazing world and amazing experiences that I'm going to have, but actually a fairer society, a fairer business model where creators who are driving the usage of many platforms, especially social media, are actually rewarded for their effort. And many of these creators are women. We know how women are driving e-commerce in so many various ways, and the content that is now being created, posted, filmed, photographed by women is there for free, and the whole profit of that goes to those owning these monopolies, oligopolies on social media. So, when thinking about the metaverse, in order to create a mass audience product, we don't want to create a male verse, right? We want to create a metaverse, and that's why women inclusion is in this early stage is crucial, because in this way, if we continue on the same road of such low female representation in blockchain projects among crypto CEOs, we will end up with a product that does not include the needs, the excitement of a big part of society. And this is where we're going to lose the mass adoption. So I'm like thinking that if decentralized metaverses, if crypto wants to really move forward and actually win the race of metaverse, we need a huge influx of women there in the upcoming few years.
Amazing. I love it. And you mentioned about the education, that there's so much to give, limitless possibilities, but just really, like you mentioned, the role modeling, mentorship, advising, what is the starting point? That is something that it's so important to get women started, get companies started. And Sheena, I would like to kind of extend this as well, because I'm sure the education part for many nonprofits, how to enter the metaverse space, how to enter and really drive the sustainable initiatives. What is the one thing that you have seen would be the important advice? Someone who reaches out to you and say, how can I get started? How can I get involved? How can I really now use these emerging technologies to drive sustainable initiatives our company or nonprofit has?
I think that's a great question, and add to Ada's point as well, is having women interaction also in the startup. And I think it's a great opportunity, especially for nonprofits, to get educated, also to be able to do funding events and see real tangible results. For example, in ESGs, money does grow on trees right now, and whether that be meta trees or real trees. So through this ESG and carbon offsets, nonprofits have access to finance as well as PR and education, and to further their education. And like Ada had said, even the visual representation, a photo is worth 1,000 words. So when nonprofits can put individuals into these places and spaces and communities where their work is being done, it becomes a different connection to these projects.
And also following up on what Sheena said, what really made me happy is seeing a lot of events on ReFi, regenerative finance, during the Berlin Blockchain Week. And it seemed for a while that these communities are somehow working apart, the people who are working on regenerative solutions and the blockchain Web3 crypto space. And I think now also with the excitement of the Ethereum merge now, and also because the issues are really pressing, and I think everyone understood that by now. I even participated myself at an event called Regents Unite, not Degens Unite, Regents Unite, where people with diverse background came together to exchange their knowledge and to actually see how we can create a sustainable solution so that technology is not against.
This podcast is powered by Phygtl, with a special guest from Women of the Future. To Metaverse.
To save the planet, but we can actually use it as a tool for that.
It's so fundamental what you ladies are sharing right now, right? I know that, Sheena, you have launched an alternative coin, XCO2, right? And having coins within the ecosystem is fundamental for any environment, right? And what I mean with that, with any environment, let me be more specific to avoid misunderstanding, right? Any marketplace is a supply and demand of digital assets that are co-created, right? That we own, right? Why is this so important in your point of view to have the coin that you launched? What is it causing, and what is the impact here on the retail investor, Sheena?
So just recently, XCO2 also received a FATWA certificate and now is halal certified as well, Sharia compliant. XCO2 provides, it's a commodity pool of one commodity, and that is carbon offsets. So when you buy into XCO2, that contract is good for 5 years. Then we're creating an ecoverse as well. So we have an NFT, and the NFT is your certificate of the purchase or the retirement of this offset. One of the problems we're seeing is individuals are selling fraudulent, non-verified offsets to companies and to individuals to not really see a tangible effect. So once you buy into XCO2, then that NFT will actually show you the project, the people that it affected, the return that was brought back to the communities, the infrastructure, the schooling, literacy rate, healthcare, access to clean water, sanitation. So it actually shows the tangible effects that the project has.
Tangible effects that the project has. Very, very, very useful for the retail. And so you're listed in the common exchanges or decentralized exchanges, or what can you tell us about that?
Yes, so XCO2 is just currently, we are going to launch at COP27 in Egypt. We're currently doing a token generation event, and we are moving for that very reason. We started on Ethereum and ERC20, and as discussed earlier, gas fees, associated carbon emissions, we're moving to Polygon. So our entire system, our NFT and our coin will be on Polygon.
And I remember in one of the first conversation we had, you had an ICO in recall 2017, 2018, so one of the first waves, right? And
Yeah.
fast forwarded, you had your own alternative coins, right? I think we are entering also with this bear market a new phase on how we are interpreting value for coins. What would you say, based on today's knowledge and what you have experienced, right? What is the real value of an alternative coin for each project? How should we, the end user or even retail investor, looking at it, right? How can you assess value for that, right? Maybe if you want to give us an inside out, meaning from an entrepreneurial and company perspective, and eventually also from a retail investor perspective, right?
I think during the first ICO boom stage, and also we saw it again repeated in a certain way with a DeFi boom. There is a lot of thinking on how people will access the token, how users will be rewarded with the token, what actions they will take, how they will get the token, and then this thinking leads to to assumption that this will drive adoption. And this is what happens early stage. You give out a lot of coins to drive adoption. What has to be really thought through is where does the demand come from? Who is actually gonna buy the token at some point, and why? And right now, I think maybe the number of users is not that relevant at some point, but you look at the token supply and demand. So really the companies are doing really a lot of efforts calculating the supply and demand. And with the clients we work with at the blockchain center, we're doing also token generation events, various vesting schedules, unlock schedules. They launch on various launch pads, and every launch pad has their own way to deal with the tokens after the TD. We really go through multiple planning iterations and try to really play out various scenarios in the future. What will happen at that time when this number of tokens get unlocked, or where users will get access to this number of tokens? And for anyone interested in buying the tokens, in becoming investors in any way, I think it's key to understand whether the dynamics, the supply and demand dynamics are well thought through. Otherwise, we will just end up in the situation where token is deflationary over time, and this happened to many projects. And there are new learnings about tokenomics. Also, Animoca Brands is really strong on focusing a lot on tokenomics and develop their tokenomics department. So I think this is really different, and especially in the bear market, good things are born out of that, because people have to be very cautious, and the hype is gone, and you really have to think, what is the value of the token? So that would be my kind of advice for both founders and buyers.
And by the way, but I mean, this is of so much importance what you're sharing right now, right? Because I mean, the hype is gone, meaning there was an initial curiosity, right? Because we are in an early adoption phase, right? And it's fair, right? I mean, every innovation cycle has this early adoption phase, and the early adopters are those who are more, who lean more into the risk because they want to learn more, they want to experiment more. But now you're saying, we are in a bear market. I like to compare the year 2022 with the year 2001 or 2001, right? So the best is yet to come. I like to share, right? But the supply and demand ultimately is tied to the core mission, right? So ultimately it's tied with what problem is this company solving. So I think it is fair to say, right, that the only common denominator that I see between Web 2 and Web 3, or even Web 1, Web 2 in general, right, and that's what I share also at UC Berkeley, is we're still solving a problem, ladies and gentlemen, right? So it's still a company that solves a problem, and technology is just a tool that allows you to do things faster, better, cheaper, right? And with the Web3, we have additional value creation, and the value creation has the opportunity, right, you to buy into those projects through the coins. So let's not focus just on the coin side of things, but let's focus on the problem and the target audience. And Ada said it too, right? So who is it specifically for, right? So because the appreciation of the value that we are buying, right, is fundamental. Tarja, what are your thoughts? What do you want to ask our audience? I pass the ball to you.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's a great way of saying we are such an early adopters, and this is the time to build. And I hear all the time from many women, especially, like, how can I enter? How can I come? I'm so excited. And now I kind of want to extend this question to you ladies, because Sheena and Ada, the aha moment that you started, many times it's nothing like it takes years to build. This might be just like, let me start connecting, creating, finding these problems. And I know there's a place for me. So what would be the one thing that we have incredible professional and creators wanting to learn more? What is the first step that you kind of started getting into this space and emerging technologies? Sheena, if you could kind of tell your aha moment, how you entered.
Yes. So we were looking at different traditional financial structures that there were either loopholes or deficiencies. And so one of the issues with carbon offsets, or ESGs in particular, is once you have a buyer and a seller, there's this intermittent period of transfer, right? So individuals who were selling may not transfer the offsets or vice versa, or the money was not transferred. And also the same offsets were being sold multiple times. So that was the issue in a traditional market. So we were looking at utilizing blockchain technology to take a very large global problem as protecting 30% of the planet by 2030. And that's why we created our coin limit under XCO2 was based on a tangible result. So I think it is the taking a problem and seeing what are the existing hurdles, and then how, by using blockchain technology, those can be overcome.
Amazing, like a collective innovation and coming together. Ara, what was your aha moment like? This is the future, and I'm part of it.
Look, I started learning about blockchain in 2017, and I think what I was mostly excited about at that time was data ownership. Kind of, it totally made sense, and this is what Limpa was doing in the first phase of the company, trying to monetize and reward people for the patient-generated data. We were working with health data, so it makes absolutely sense that when I'm on social media, when I'm using a browser and I see ads, basically I see someone targeting me with my data, I should be rewarded, or at least I should get a little piece of that instead of getting nothing. So this, I think this was true back then. This is true now. So that was the first, oh wow, this is, if we can do that, this would be amazing, because of the wealth redistribution potential that it has, and empowerment of users and decentralization of the internet. Now, 5 years have passed, and in terms of resources, there's so much more out there. Free courses on big e-education platforms, various academies. I know Binance Academy is one go-to place. CoinMarketCap have learn and earn initiatives. So every bigger exchange player have created their own platforms, ways to share the information. And so it's a good way to start for someone who's like, oh, I'm afraid to touch this until I figure things out. So I want to read first. There are people who go straight into doing things, and that works out too. And the amazing feature of Web3 is that it's all built on a community. So every project has their own community. It has communication channel on Twitter is one of the channels, but Telegram and Discord are the most popular ones. And if you go there are community managers who are eager to tell you about what the project is doing, how to use that. And we're in knowing how we worked at Limpa. There are multiple times we help people to set up their MetaMask account, or like shared knowledge on that. Explain how bridges works, explain how to use OpenSea, and so on and so forth. So that, everyone is willing to help. And I think to just do this small step, even purchasing any kind of a cryptocurrency on any exchange, seeing what's happening with the coin, why, following their communication channels, or looking at OpenSea, looking at other NFT marketplaces, how these communities are created, what's so exciting about Bored Ape Yacht Club or any other popular product. So it's a good way to start, and there are so many resources now. And the other good thing is that no one should be intimidated. It's still a super new space. There are now a few books about that. Tommaso wrote a great one, but generally speaking, there are no courses. There's no one is in the space for 15 years. Well, the early adopters of Bitcoin, but at that time we didn't have development of projects. So basically, everyone is new, and everyone can learn together. So that's a great feature of the space.
I loved it. There is no one who is seasoned in this, right? Seasoned might be eventually, I admire actually your story, Ada, right? Starting early on with the ICOs, right? You were really from the get go there, right? I recall my first time that UC Berkeley called me to be part and share a class on blockchain was in 2017, right? And honestly, I was kind of seriously, did you ask me that, right? And now fast forward it, here we are. Anyhow, we could talk for hours about this topic and everything as a beginning and an end. We are coming up, wrapping up this episode. But before I let you go, Sheena and Ada, I'm really curious about your vision, and if you can take me down, let's call it 5 to 10 years, depending on your entrepreneur visionary view, right? Where do you see the company you're working in, Sheena? What is the position of the company in 5-10 years that you're working in the carbon market exchange?
The goal is to protect over 30% of the planet. If we limit resource extraction, we are going to drive innovation. We realize that we cannot continue as the same modalities. So by protecting 30% of the planet, and then we're taking financial capital and as a collective community deciding where that should go, whether that be in hydrogen or different type of renewables, and looking at sustainable solutions, hemp, regenerative farming, sustainable building. The potential is it's unlimited, the new world that we can collectively create.
Collectively creation over the next years. Ada, what's your contribution over the next years?
I think it's also about the collective and decentralization, bigger adoption of Web3. I'd love to see a lot of people using decentralized browsers, maybe one big decentralized social media platform arising, metaverses getting more and more adoption, and even seeing with the DAO model, seeing companies exiting to community, changing the way how the business infrastructure is working, that it's not only for going to the shareholders, the dividends and the profits, but to everyone who actually contributes to create this product and who contributes with their content, with their excitement, and building companies together. So it's a great vision. I'm excited to see more and more examples in that space, and that could change a lot how we interact with each other, with businesses, and how our economic system works.
So definitely at the center of all this collaboration, it's about what we do now. We have been for forever, actually, right? I was about to say for decades, but forever just contributing to third parties that were then owning our efforts. And actually, if we translate efforts, they were really owning our time. I like to also say that it's the first time we can democratize time. The time is ours. We decide where we put the time and what mission we support. Tarja, I'm actually curious to hear your vision. So 1, 2, 3. What are your thoughts? What is my co-host?
I love it. I love it's amazing. And the energy, I think that is the amazing thing, that when we have these community talks, like we see such incredible, limitless possibilities. And what I see is the education. It is that we are absolutely innovating new ways that we can't even imagine yet. And now having the new young talent coming in, and I see hundreds and hundreds being in universities, and even my 16-year-old daughter seeing the potential that they can build. I think that is what I'm so excited about. And of course, women. I see this, that it's not an afterthought, it's a starting point, that how we build this, it is diverse, it is represented in so many ways. So that's what I'm excited about, and being part of it, being builders, not just sitting in the sideline and seeing it being built.
Phenomenal. Another episode of Metaverse Studio, Sheena Fortner, the Jonuse, and this would not have been possible without Tarja Stephens. And thank you so much. And the way that I like to wrap up things, I'll meet you where? In the Metaverse. Goodbye. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for watching our podcast. Stay tuned on our social media network and see you in the Metaverse.